Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. Turning now to breaking news at this hour as it relates to the conflict in the Middle East. According to our content partners over at the Associated Press, a ship traveling through the Red Sea on Thursday reported being hit in an attack likely carried out by Yemen Houthi rebels. This information coming from a private security firm, the latest in the campaign targeting shipping over the Israel-Hamas war. Joining us live this morning for this breaking news alert, national security expert with the University of New Haven, Ken Gray. Ken, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday morning.
Good morning, Janae. Glad to be with you.
Glad to have you. So we know this is not the first ship attack. We know that those Yemen Houthi rebels not just yet claiming ownership of this attack. So that's why we're saying likely carried out by Yemen Houthi rebels. But if you could catch us up with the latest in this conflict, please.
Sure. So this would be over 60 attacks if it is a Houthi attack. It's more than likely is a Houthi attack. But motor vessel traveling in the Red Sea there claimed to have been struck by or missiles landing nearby, but something off the coast of Hodeida in Yemen. And so very few details in as of yet. Now, it's not clear whether this is a different attack that occurred on Monday. On Monday, there was a motor vessel that was struck by missiles, a hypersonic missile, first time use of a hypersonic missile by the Houthis in an attack on a ship. And they did claim that attack. And so, as I said, it's not really clear this vessel that was claiming to have been attacked on Thursday, if it's the same ship or if it's a different ship. But the Houthis are nonetheless still very active here. This has been over 60 attacks now since November. And the response on this warship was in the area, but limited detail is being heard at the moment as to exactly what transpired.
Absolutely. This is preliminary information. This news just coming into our Live Now from Fox studios about 45 minutes ago. So very accurate information you are sharing at this hour, Ken Gray. Some of the viewers wanting to know, as we discuss the Israel-Hamas war, why it has transitioned from air to sea and what role the Yemen Houthi rebels do play in this. Even though they have not taken ownership of this attack, if we're being frank and blunt about it, they've taken ownership of several of the other attacks.
Well, the Houthis are some distance away from Israel, and the way that they can really have their actions felt is by controlling the access to the Red Sea and shut the Red Sea down as far as the maritime traffic going through it. And they have done that. They have succeeded in causing most of the international shipping that would normally go through this area here to have to divert away from that. And so there are fewer ships for them to attack, and that's why you're not seeing as many attacks as you had earlier on in this conflict, because most ships are avoiding this area now, and instead are making the long trip around the tip of Africa, and they're transporting goods to either Europe or the United States. But nonetheless, the Houthis are carrying out their actions in the maritime realm because that's where they're closest to and that's where they can have the biggest impact. But this is still in conjunction with the rest of the axis of resistance in response to the Israeli conflict there in the Gaza Strip. This is in concert with other players, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Syrian groups, Iraqi groups, and ultimately Iran. But nonetheless, all of these are working together to try to force Israel out of the Gaza Strip.
You mentioned in that statement you were making about, the Houthi rebels overtaking those cargo ships that were transporting goods. And I want to ask you, why is that happening? Do they need the goods that are on those ships? Because if we look at when Hamas was overtaking that aid, they were actually keeping it and eating the items and using it for their own consumption.
So the Houthis today seized one vessel and have sunk one vessel, but they are not obtaining the goods that are on these ships. For the most part, they are sending missiles and drones at these ships with the intention of either disabling them or sinking them to have an impact on this war effort. The goods on the ships themselves, I'm sure that if they could manage to get them to shore, they would, of course, be involved in piracy of stealing those goods. But that is not really not transpired for the most part in these attacks so far.
With these ship attacks, people wanting to know about economies and how that will be impacted.
So this has had a major, major impact on the economy of the world. So Egypt makes a lot of its income off of the ship traveling through the canal there. And because this has impacted on the number of ships going through that area, it's going to impact on the Egyptian economy greatly. But additionally, this is causing an impact on international shipping, causing both an additional month for the transport of goods and the additional expense of goods being transported all the way down around Africa to get up to Europe, causing a month-long delay in delivery of those goods. So this all mounts up to being an impact on international shipping, on international trade, and is costing a lot of countries money and a lot of shipping companies money in this process. Additionally, insurance companies will not insure ships to travel through this area because it is at risk of being attacked by the Houthis. And so this is having its impact. It's being felt all around.
Ken Gray, as we further discuss conflicts in the Middle East, I changed the shot there on the screen to show southern Israel looking into Gaza. We know along with those Yemen Houthi rebels, there's also the conflict with Israel and Hamas, also Israel and Hezbollah. The content partners over at the Associated Press kind of panning the camera just to show how wide scale this conflict is in that region. We are learning also this morning that Israeli Defense Forces, the Israeli military, also top Israeli officials, they're kind of having some contradictions as it relates to Netanyahu and how he wants this Gaza war to play out. Could you give us any updates on that front? Because with these contradictions, as you can imagine, the Israeli people, especially those relatives of Hamas hostages, they are losing hope in their government.
Yeah, Netanyahu is standing firm on his intent to get rid of Hamas as a force there within the Gaza Strip. His original plans was requirements were threefold: to totally get rid of Hamas, to get the return of the hostages, and to find a way to remove Hamas as the governing body of the Gaza Strip, and to remove Gaza as a potential threat to Israel. And so with those three requirements there, Netanyahu is standing firm on his desire to continue the actions against the Hamas, even if they have a ceasefire. The Hamas, on the other hand, is pushing for a total ceasefire and for total removal of the IDF from the Gaza Strip. And so these two things cannot happen at the same time. And that's why you have not seen any total movement towards this resolving this issue between the two, is that Israel wants to get rid of Hamas, and Hamas wants to get rid of the IDF from Gaza. And neither side are willing to give in on any of those major deciding factors for a type of resolution to this. The families of the hostages are giving up hope because of the fact that they see the chance of getting a ceasefire and getting the release of these hostages becoming fewer and fewer chances. And so, as the time continues on, the likelihood of hostages coming out alive becomes remote. The fact that the Israelis were able to, the IDF was able to rescue the hostages that they did 2 weeks ago shows that there are hostages still alive. But as time goes on, this becomes more and more difficult. And so hopefully there will be some type of deal able to be reached, but it still is a long distance between what Netanyahu wants to see happen and what the Hamas wants to see happen. And the IDF, when they say that their view of the intention here in the area is different than what the prime minister envisions. They are dealing with the reality of the situation on the ground as opposed to the long-range strategy that is being put forward by Netanyahu.
Great points there, Ken. As we continue to look at this war, as it continues to play out day by day, we know remnants of this war have trickled over here to the U.S. We've seen those protests that have erupted not only in city streets, but also across college campuses and universities. We also know that first presidential debate of 2024 is tonight, and the conflict in the Middle East is top of mind for many voters, and it is a key point for President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. How important is their response tonight as it relates to conflict in the Middle East to garner those votes?
So this is going to be a major issue that should come up tonight. And my guess is that it will definitely be one of the issues. However, immigration will be the number one issue. The people coming across the border, the loss of control of our southwest border. You see that the Secretary of DHS was down there at the border just yesterday, trying to show that President Biden is resolute on the control of the border. But this is going to be a major topic. But as far as the conflict there in Israel, it will probably be second tier. It'll be definitely an issue that'll be raised. And the two candidates have very different perspectives on this. President Trump is very much in favor of Israel and backing Israel in this conflict. President Biden has two different constituents that he is trying to appease. He has young voters who, for the most part, are pro-Palestinian, but then he has other Democrats who are still along with him in favor of backing Israel. And so he has to be able to win votes on both sides of that, and that's going to be a difficult thing to do tonight. So it'll be interesting to see what strategy he takes towards this in the debate tonight, as far as his view of what is happening there in Israel. But I'm sure that both sides will be talking about the need to be moving towards a resolution of this and for the release of the hostages.
Absolutely. Ken Gray, always a pleasure having you join us here on Live Now from Fox for these breaking news alerts. Before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I other than just simply the possibility of another front opening up here with Hezbollah remains a very strong possibility. The Israelis have been threatening that if this does occur, that they will take southern Lebanon back to the Stone Age. And so those are very strong words being threatened for devastation of South Lebanon in the event that this does become a full-fledged fight up there, another open front for the war.
Definitely strong words, and also a threat not to take lightly. Ken Gray, always a pleasure. Thank you so much again for joining us bright and early this Thursday morning. You enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.